Welcome to Jerseys for Social Justice, ETSU Athletics video series highlighting our black student athletes and coaches and their stories of being black in America. Our guest today is Quay Holmes, running back for the ETSU football team, All-American, redshirt junior, but much more than just an athlete. Quay, these are some of the most important conversations we're going to have all year. Appreciate you taking the time.
No problem, thank you.
We know Quay Holmes is a football player, wildly successful, single-game record holder for ETSU athletics in terms of yards in a game, 255 last year, preseason All-American this year. Quay Holmes, the person, what has shaped who he is today?
Man, it's been a lot of family. I'm the oldest of, 7? Who wasn't 7 under one house, it's split, but just trying to be a role model for my younger siblings. I just had a lot instilled in me as a child, and standards set high, and that's kind of just what's molded me, having high expectations for myself and wanting to show, my younger siblings the way to go.
So you're a role model for them. You're obviously a role model for anyone around the area that wants to play football, kids that want to have success, grow up to be like you. Being a role model in this time in race relations in this country, that's a lot. There's a lot to have on your shoulders when it comes to that topic. How have you dealt with living the day-to-day life of Quay Holmes, but also knowing that as a black man in the society and a role model, that there is a lot on your shoulders?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot, and what we're going through just as black people as a whole is tough, and we're just trying to be encouraging. As a student athlete, you can kind of get detached from it, the who you are from what you are. Everybody knows me as a football player, All-American and that, but who I am, I'm a young black man. So when I step off campus or whenever I'm in the street or whatever, that's who I am, whether I have on the ETSU shirt or not. So just trying to be a good leader, set a good example, doing things right. That's probably the best thing I could try to do. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Do you believe that as a role model growing up for your siblings and as you've gone up through high school and college, do you believe that your life has been affected by racism?
Definitely. I can't pinpoint a time where I felt like it was probably like a one-on-one racism thing, but just something as small as, getting pulled over by an officer, when those blue lights come on, I don't care how fearless you are, your heart kind of drops when that happens. You see it all the time in social media, on the news, of how just a routine traffic stop, could be something small as, failure to signal, and then those things end up turning for the worse. So I feel like my life has definitely been affected in that way, and just knowing that, you never know when that could happen to you. You see it on the news, on social media, and then you have to kind of put yourself in that shoe and be like, that could easily be me. So, as far as my younger siblings go, I would just want them to be as safe as possible as well. So I've definitely been affected by that.
Being white, I come from a place of privilege, regardless of where I actually come from, or I don't have to worry about those kind of things. If I'm pulled over, it's going to be officer walks up, checks my license, registration. If everything checks out, I'm good, I can drive away. Can you take us inside the mind and heart and body of someone that cannot live in that world and has to live thinking about what he sees on the news, on TV, and knows that young black men on a week-by-week, month-by-month, day-by-day basis are discriminated against? Definitely.
Well, like you said, just like a routine traffic stop, we're taught from a young age, look straight ahead, keep your hands where they can see them, know where your registration is, where your license is. Try to get that interaction done as quickly as possible. And the unfortunate thing is sometimes you can even do all those things that you think is right, and it still ends up turning for the worse. So it's a scary thing, but just as a black person, those are the things that we have to be taught, and nobody should ever have to be taught what to do when you're in front of an officer. They're supposed to be there to help us, or if we're doing the wrong thing, they tell us what we did wrong, and we deal with that consequence. But you never want to go into that situation thinking it's a life or death thing, but that's the unfortunate thing we have to go through.
Racism isn't new in this country. It's got a deep, dark history that it seems like with the evolution of technology, cell phones, everybody being able to take videos whenever they want is just now coming into the light more and more. But you'd have to be living under a rock, be very ignorant or in denial that this same thing hasn't been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years in this country. Now that we are seeing more of it, and specifically in the last number of months, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and the list goes on. How have those incidents and how have these last few months affected you? Obviously, you've got a number of other things going on too. You can't play football this fall. The pandemic has heightened tensions, but specifically on this issue, I can't imagine it's easy to turn on the TV and watch what has unfolded these last few months.
Definitely. It's just it's a mix of emotions, anger, sadness, confusion. At a point in time, you just get to thinking, why does this have to happen, especially specifically to us as Black people? You turn the news on and you just see things and it makes you upset. You want to speak out on it. You want to do something about it. You're saddened. And it's just a whirlwind of emotion. And, we do protest and we do marches and stuff, but it's like at the end of the day, the thing that sucks about it is no matter how much of that stuff we do, Breonna Taylor, she's still, passed. George Floyd, he's still gone. So it's like, you hate having to be reactive. You wish it would just not happen at all. But, we're trying to do the best we can do. But like I said, it's just a mixture of emotions.
Speaking about what you have so far in this interview, talking about police stops and the possible escalation and seeing everything that's happened over the last few months, I'm just going to be very blunt with this question. As a young Black man in this society, do you feel safe?
Man, it's like you want to say yes, but as long as this stuff is going on, you can't really feel safe. I feel like it's like you're safe up until, that dangerous thing, happens. So until we're at a point where, Black people aren't being wrongfully murdered, innocent. In Breonna Taylor's case, she was asleep. Until those things stop happening, we can't say that we're safe. We can't have this stuff going on and then still being like, I'm safe. That's not how we're supposed to be living. So until that stuff gets, eradicated, then we can't feel safe.
It is a sad reality. We can't change the past. Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, the myriad of individuals that have been murdered by police over the last 6, 7 years, decade, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, list goes on. Those people are gone. What we can hope to affect and change is the future. What do you feel needs to happen in order for you to feel safe and live a life free of racism and inequality as long as you're on this earth?
I feel like, racism is something deeply rooted because it's been taught. So the only way we can kind of reverse that is if we teach at a young age, how racism is wrong and teach the things about police brutality and really teach equality. It'll be a process, but it has to be started at a young age. And that way it'll already be, just a way of life, the same way racism was. So it has to be taught, people who we're voting for, we have to really use our voices, especially as Black people, to go out and vote. When it comes to police, there has to be some more type of training, whatever it needs to be to make sure that these policemen they know the law and they know what to do when situations escalate and how to de-escalate situations, as safely as possible. It has to be just a lot more teaching going on instead of just, you do your training academy or whatever and then that's it, then you're out there. So it needs to be definitely taught in schools and we got to use our voices.
Police reform, voting, there's an election November 3rd. These are giant topics to tackle, Quay Holmes. We appreciate so much you taking the time to talk about them. It's easy to walk away from the conversations. It's hard to actually face them straight on. You've done that today. Your time's much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.